A very warm welcome to part 2. Now, one of the ways of being able to tell the future very clearly is to look at what we call legacies, the legacies of leaders, because it clears up the picture, it clears up the muddied waters, it makes things crystal clear in front of anybody's eyes. Okay? What is the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta? What will he be remembered for? Okay? Now, let us also remember that history is very harsh. Yeah? And history is what will write the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay? Now, history, unlike us, are not caught up in the emotions of the moment. They are not caught up in the political correctness of the moment. History is just brutal, harsh, truthful. I think the best way of being able to predict what kind of legacy President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to have is to take a bird's eye view. That is to go back, to the presidents we have had before him, and then I think it will be very clear what kind of legacy he's going to have. Okay. Now, so far Kenya has had 4 presidents. Now, the legacy of President Jomo Kenyatta has been quite good. History so far has been very kind to him. Yes, he was considered a great leader, a visionary, a man who had a lot of wisdom. That is his legacy so far. Okay. Now, notice I keep on using the word so far. In a minute you'll be able to know why. Now, one of the most successful ebooks I've ever written is Dark Secrets of the Kenyan Presidency. Yeah, it's available. It's easy to get. Now, in Dark Secrets of the Kenyan Presidency, I paint a picture of Jomo Kenyatta. I think the most truthful and brutal and open picture of Jomo Kenyatta. Yeah, and the long and short of it is that Jomo Kenyatta was a good man, a very good man, a wise man, very wise man. Okay, that is the truth. You cannot take away that from him. And even more important, he started with very good intentions, high ideals, good intentions for the people of Kenya, good intentions for the nation called Kenya. One of the best decisions that Jomo Kenyatta took, alongside people like Tom Mboya, was to announce that Kenya was a non-aligned country. Okay, so what that meant is that we're neither west nor east. Okay, now of course there's the big question of how sustainable was that decision, or how sustainable was that policy, because clearly this was a young country and there's always great forces east and west fighting. In fact, that time it was right in the smack in the middle of the Cold War, east versus west. So how do you tell America that no, we also talking to Russia because we're non-aligned? Russia can also assist us. Can't fly. But very good intention, very idealistic. I'm just trying to prove to you that this was a man who started with good intentions. But somewhere along the line, pressure of reality and a lot of other things came in, and a lot of things went wrong. Okay, but one critical mistake that was made in the Jomo Kenyatta presidency were the famous Kiambu oaths. The oaths that were taken, tribal oaths. That one, that really messed up the Jomo Kenyatta legacy. Indeed, that particular decision, will inform the legacy of our current president, Uhuru Kenyatta. But we'll come to that in a minute. Okay? Now, the next president was, of course, Daniel Arap Moi. Now, it's very interesting. Jomo Kenyatta left power in a blaze of glory. He passed on, state funeral, blah, blah, blah. Very respected, elderly African statesman, etc., etc. Okay? Now, Moi left power in the very opposite way. People were throwing mud at him. Uhuru Park, 2002, during the swearing in, 2002, the end, tail end of 2002. People were throwing mud at him, saying, people were so happy that this helicopter was going to fly him back to his Kabarak home. People were not, they were so eager to see the last of Moi, to see the end of Moi. Somebody even dipped themselves in the dirty water at Uhuru Park just to celebrate. Yes, but the fascinating thing is that at the end of the day, history will treat President Daniel Arap Moi much more kindly than it will treat his predecessor, Jomo Kenyatta. Moi made his mistakes, yes, very many, But, well, we call it fate, we call it destiny. History will treat him much kinder than his predecessor. On to Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki was a very good man, yeah, and his intentions for Kenya were good. Yeah, if you listen to the speech before his historic win, and if you knew a bit about Mwai Kibaki, Mwai Kibaki has always been a good man, very good man, okay? Very humble beginnings, but he ended up being very well schooled, took education very seriously, okay, yeah, considered, you know, his whole political career, he was lifted up by his education credentials, yeah. He came into politics at a time when, you know, educational credentials were lacking in Kano, yeah, as we went into independence. Yeah. So he's pulled in, climbed up the ladder very fast, okay. That was Mwai Kibaki. Now his presidency was unfortunate because this is a man who had very good intentions, worked very hard, worked on the infrastructure. You can see a lot of the good effects the Mwai Kibaki government had. Yes, a lot of the good impact the Mwai Kibaki government had. But it ended again in a very bad way. We know for sure that history will judge him very much based on what happened in 2007, 2008, post-election violence. Okay, that's what we know, right? That should be very clear. So it's very unfortunate. Now on to our current president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, as I've said in my book, Dark Secrets of the Kenyan Presidency, his state house, I don't know what it does to people. Yeah, because very good people go in there, and then the people who come out at the end of their presidential terms are not the good people who went in. Yeah, but I guess it has a lot to do with power and you know, the need to survive as a leader. Yeah. Anyway, the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta will not be good, which is very sad because it started off very well. It started off with a lot of promise. Okay, and even sadder, I am convinced that the people advising him do not care about President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. Okay, they do not care at all about it. Yeah, and what they are more concerned with are short-term gains, short-term selfish gains. Yeah, they are not interested in looking at history. They are not interested in the big picture. They're just interested in short-term. Yeah, and this is very sad. You've heard me say here in this channel many times before that the time we have reached in Kenya's history is the time when you only do one thing. You do something that will stand the test of time. Yes? Now these advisors are doing the very opposite. Everything they have done, all the decisions they are making, those decisions will never stand the test of time. Let me just give you one glaring example. There are many, but let me just give you one. There's a current move to change the constitution to reduce the powers of the Supreme Court judges. Yeah, that is going against the very spirit, the very foundation of our 2010 constitution. Will that stand the test of time? I'll give you an answer, and I'm very sure about that answer. The answer is no. It will never stand the test of time. Okay, there are many reasons, but let's not go into that now. Okay, yeah, so they're not interested in doing things that will stand the test of time. So the only thing we can expect from people making those kind of decisions is failure. That's the truth. In other words, it will not work. Yes, and I've been using this word a lot in the decisions being made by the Jubilee government. I've been telling you it will not work. Yeah, and it's very simple. I even mentioned very early on that the Jubilee plan has got too many moving parts. When you have too many moving parts, something is bound to go wrong. Yeah, and it has come to pass. Yeah, so I'm not thumping my chest. I'm just very sad that this is what has happened, and the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is in tatters. You can react how you want to react now. You can have all the emotions favoring a favorite candidate now. You can do so many things. But 20, 30 years down the line, history is going to be very brutal. It's going to be very truthful. Yeah. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, history cannot be rigged. Yeah. It will give us the brutal truth. And I can tell you well in advance, the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is not good. And why is it not good? Okay, in the next part of the series, I'll tell you, I'll give you a lot of details why it is not. Yeah, and then I'll tie up that with the question we started with: what should we expect in the immediate future, in the midterm future, and in the long-term future? Yeah, I think by now we're starting to get a much clearer picture of what we should expect. Okay, now you know the drill. Click on the link on your top left-hand corner and you'll be there. See you there in a bit. This is Chris Kumekucha.